My workout performance got so much more consistent when I worked out how to actually use carbs properly. While strength training doesn't actually deplete the actual stored carbs called glycogen in your muscles as much as endurance training does, it's not actually just about the amount of fuel left in the muscle that affects your performance. The brain has sensors that detect how much of that fuel and that glycogen is still stored within the muscle. And when those stores start to drop below maximal, your brain automatically starts to adjust your level of effort to start being more conservative with that energy, meaning that you can start seeing a decrease in activation even with as much as 50 to 60% of your glycogen stores still sitting there. Once that starts happening, even when you push as hard as you possibly can, you still won't get those same levels of activation and you won't be able to turn on those biggest fast twitch muscle fibers that we actually care about when we're training. Aiming to stay in that high range of carb storage makes sure that you won't see fatigue as a result of glycogen depletion, and knowing how to time your carbs and which types of carbs to eat is what makes this possible. We know from studies that eating carbs within those few hours before a workout will significantly boost performance, letting you get up to 20% more effective volume in a single workout, according to some studies that compared fasted versus carb-fueled training. This is especially true if your workouts go longer than 45 minutes, or if you're doing a lot of compound exercises that require a lot of muscles to work at the same time, which are particularly sensitive to a performance drop when any types of fatigue start to kick in. When you can keep your performance high and consistently do more quality reps and sets, you get stronger faster, you get bigger faster, and you get results faster. So eat something carby before training, and ideally, if it's going to be quite close to training, you want those to be simple carbs rather than complex carbs that take a while to digest, like oats or veggies or whole grains that'll force you into a digestive state when you really want that blood flow going to your muscles instead. If your workouts go past an hour, you might even want to consider intra-workout carbs that you have within that session to keep those energy stores topped up. Things like honey, sports drinks, or fruit juice all work well for this. Carbs after training don't usually matter all that much, but if you train 2 days in a row like I do every week, that can start to matter more. Muscles get damaged with training, and that damage actually temporarily blocks the muscles from being able to store more carbs and refuel on that energy. This means that by the time you're trying to carb up before training that following day, that muscle damage is set in and it's stopping those carbs that you're eating from making it into the muscles where they need to count. It takes about 12 hours for that damage to set in and start blocking that carb uptake from your bloodstream. So if you're training some of those same muscles on back-to-back days, getting an extra big dose of carbs in those meals after the workout on that first day makes sure that you go into the second day with topped up glycogen stores because you refueled your muscle while it was still able to actually take up some of that energy effectively. Even if you're not training some of the same muscles day after day, your nervous system and your brain are sensitive to fatigue no matter where that fatigue is coming from, and it will adjust your performance and output even if the fatigue is coming from muscles that you're not necessarily targeting with that following day's workout. So being quite intentional with your carb intake and at least trying to avoid going entire meals without any carbs during this time period is a guaranteed way to make sure that this doesn't impact your training. If you want more guidance on nutrition, I go over everything to do with performance, body composition, and how to fit this in with your training phases in the fat loss guide on my website.